Yeah. Good. That's a good goal to set. It's just when can I quit my jobs?
Right now at this
Like,
rate, no time soon, but that's something I'm gonna be working towards.
yeah, I get it. YouTube one obviously has much higher growth potential for sure. Like just algorithms work in your favor on YouTube for people who are just not even following you, who find you through YouTube.
Yeah, but the conversion rate, it's hard to get people to subscribe. That's the very hard part.
Oh yes, for sure. You've got, two thousand three hundred seventy. That's still quite remarkable on the follower count.
Yeah, thanks, man. I spent like I want to say that was over a year, so I never thought I would grow that much in a year's time. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I
That's all
was.
I gotta say. That's pretty good.
It took a lot of grinding though, for sure.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I get it. As someone who wakes up at 6 o'clock every day to do a podcast, I get it.
oh dang, bro. Well, I'll make sure I give your podcast a shout out. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I just gave it a minute so we could get some people in the chat. Um, Today we have Kyle from Take It Easy Podcast. He also runs an Instagram page called Comical Sports Memes. He has almost 50,000 followers, so make sure you guys go and give him a follow on Instagram as well. He has a great Instagram following, and his Take It Easy Podcast. Do you mind telling me how many listeners do you have, or have you seen the analytics on that?
Yeah, so we generally get anywhere in a week, we'll get anywhere between like 200 to 700 unique people that
Are
tune
you
in.
serious?
Yeah, and last month, well, no, not last month. Let's say the month partway through the NFL draft
Yeah,
up to like mid-May, we got like just over 6,000 downloads on the podcast.
dude.
So yeah, we're doing all right for ourselves. It's a step in the right direction.
I'm genuinely impressed. That is amazing. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, so we do daily podcasts. So each episode will in one day get between like 20 and 40, but when
Hmm.
you add everything together, it does come out to around 6,000 a month. A little less so now just cuz June is a slower month in
Yeah.
football, so some people tune out a bit, but I enjoy talking about basketball either way, so people can enjoy that too.
Yeah, it's a good time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Um,
So
well, I
check out
appreciate
check
you.
out Take It Easy. Yeah.
Take
If
It Easy
anyone
Podcast,
enjoys, of
everybody. I really appreciate you taking your time for this then, because
course,
daily
you've been on the
podcasts.
show a bunch of times. You've been on, four or
Yeah.
five times now. So I'm glad that I got the invite for your show now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely not going to get the amount of views or plays that you're getting, but we've got, it looks like 5 people right now on YouTube watching. So, I mean,
More
it
than
is
I
what
get
it
on
is.
YouTube. How about that?
I'm trying my
That's
best
what
to
I can
grow.
get. That's what I can get with like 49,000 Instagram followers is like a consistent 5 people tuning in on YouTube.
Man, it's tough. It's tough. Trying to get people and my followers from Instagram to convert to YouTube, it's really tough. But
Yeah, I've noticed that's the case with a lot of social media platforms. It's like it feels like a spin-off version where people are like, okay, I kind of showed up for this, but hey, there's this podcast over here. So sometimes I just ask people like, hey, do you want to just, even if you don't listen to it, just give it a download or something because
mhm.
you never know. Someone might mess with the algorithm and accidentally download like 500 episodes or something.
That's true. That could just be an accident. So do you record on Anchor every day, or how do you go about that? Because I'm like new to the whole podcasting thing. I'm more of like a YouTube guy, but I just take like the file and just kind of throw it over.
Yeah, no, I get that. So it depends on what kind of platform we want to use. So sometimes we will record a conversation with Zoom. The coolest one that we've ever gotten to do was with LeGarrette Blunt, and that was absolutely
Whoa.
awesome. Like that just made my weekend when we got to do that. So when we did that, like we record over Zoom and then just take the raw footage and upload it to Anchor. I use Audacity now and then as a recording app when it's just
Uh-huh.
myself, just for some improved audio quality versus Zoom. And then a lot of the times I'll just open Anchor and just start recording and just talk for 50 minutes or something and then throw it up there. I like Anchor that way just because it saves it straight to your files and then you can make it on a podcast. So I use
Uh-huh.
a variety of different things, but if I'm just talking to myself, it'll be either just Anchor or with Audacity.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Audacity. So does Audacity pick up does that would pick up like the desktop audio of someone else?
We don't, but I know that with the DSD podcast, which I produce and kind of co-host now and then,
Mm-hmm.
we'll like overlay our audio tapes. So we'll have like two tracks. We'll talk on the phone, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll overlay both of the audios, so that it lines up with what we were talking about in the conversation. So
Dang, that
Audacity can
sounds.
give you like two tracks if people are talking on in the same room. Like you
Uh-huh.
can start two recordings, but if you're in different rooms, it doesn't exactly work that way.
So I've noticed a thing on Anchor, like when I'm recording on Anchor on my PC, it just says like it's like up to 30 minutes only. So,
So it's the same thing for me. I know on the phone you can have infinite time, but yeah, if a segment goes longer than that, then I'll just like stop around like 28 minutes and then let it upload and then just press record again and just pick up from where I left off. Yeah, I think it does
hmm,
only give you 30 minutes on the PC.
that's weird.
Yeah,
Really
phone
weird.
lets you go forever. I've done like 2.5 hour podcasts and 2 hour mock drafts on the phone before with Anchor, just setting it up and doing like a conference call like we would
Uh-huh.
do if we used Anchor. So I've done that for like 2.5 hours before.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've been trying to find a way to like do this. So right now I'm recording in OBS. So I just pressed record a few minutes ago. So I'll once again say, guys, this is Kyle with Take It Easy Podcast. Go and give their podcast a follow. I believe they're on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, probably all the platforms. They have, what'd you say, like 6,000 monthly listeners? That's awesome.
Yeah, about 6,000 on a good
That's
month we can
that's
get about
crazy, man.
6,000.
How many of you guys are there on the Take It Easy podcast?
I mean, so it's my podcast specifically, but we have, friends that pop on all the time. You're one of them, and our buddy Walter and Blake Jude, our NFL draft guy,
Uh-huh.
Daily Sports Dosage comes on pretty consistently. We've been talking to our friend who runs the House of Phoenix Suns page on Instagram a lot because obviously the Suns are making a
Yeah.
nice little playoff run.
Yeah.
International correspondent Morgan from Australia. We've got a lot of friends that just come on, and obviously you're here, and there's all kinds of people that stop
That's
in,
awesome.
and if you listen consistently, maybe you've grown to like them a little bit more than you did originally. Like
Yeah.
they kind of become characters in this weird show that we have.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. That's something I've been trying to do on this one is like, because it gets hard talking to yourself. Every time I do a live YouTube stream or a podcast, because I take the YouTube stream and then I just like switch the YouTube link to like a MP3 file and then just
Mhm.
upload it as the podcast. But I was like, man, I got to try to get people on the show just to give me something to talk about, and it's hard talking to yourself, especially if the chat isn't as active. So,
No, I get it. And podcasts are a different medium that way where I like doing the live streams. I like live streaming games and just talking over them,
hmm,
especially on Instagram Live, just because that's where more of a following is. If you want to check out our YouTube, it's Comical Sports, but I'm safe to say there's sparse content that pops up there. It's when I feel like recording something or with our radio show every week. But I will say that like with podcasts, it's a different experience because people are tuning in on their own time. So you see the numbers going up on people listening, but you don't always connect to people. You don't always get people's feedback in real time. Like on a live show, people might call in, or you can obviously see YouTube comments, but
yeah, that's
on a
true.
podcast, it's not quite like that.
That's very true. Yeah, that's why I don't know. I've like always been a YouTube guy, but it's like I know how big podcasting is getting, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna try to get the best of both worlds. Because I know that YouTube is like one of the platforms you get into for success. I mean, even though it's so hard to grow on YouTube, but that's just like something
Been
that
thinking
it's,
about that a lot recently. I'm glad you brought that up. Is just um I was actually talking to one of my friends,
hmm
like my real life friends, not podcast friends, about this recently, and the idea that I had said before that like TikTok was like a niche thing, like some people really enjoy it and other people just kind of phase it out. And now I'm like, oh, I was way behind the curve on TikTok. Like TikTok is the new big social media
oh,
channel,
I know.
and I mean, I told myself from the beginning, I'm like, I don't need more social media in my life. I need less social media in my life.
Yeah.
So if TikTok is going to be the new Instagram, then I'm okay. I'll walk away at that point just because I don't want to commit the time to it.
Yeah.
But there's different trends that pop up, and now like it's really hard to grow on Instagram, which is why your story is really remarkable. That like you went from like 5,000 to 23,000 in like a few months,
Man,
and
yeah.
now you're like a legitimate, not newsbreaker, but news reporter in the
Uh-huh.
industry. And the idea that that happened in the modern Instagram where the market is so saturated on those things is really remarkable. And so,
I
the
appreciate
same,
that.
yeah, it's been great to see it. Like it was so cool to go from like just knowing you from like 5,000 followers and now you're at like 25,000, which is
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
It was hard work. I'm one of those believers that you got to invest to invest, or you got to invest to. I'm not afraid to invest money to reach my dreams and to get things that I want. And so I did. I purchased like shout outs. I tried to get as many like collaborations, just reaching out to people last night. That our San Francisco 49ers page. He
Yeah,
has,
the guy's got like 200,000 followers or something.
yeah,
The
he's
big
got like,
49ers page.
yeah, he's got like over 130,000, which is still like a lot. And
Yeah, yeah. I followed him for a while. That dude's kind of cool.
yeah, he is. He's a nice guy. And I just chatted with him last night and turned out, I learned that, he's a doctor. Like, well, I didn't know that. And like, he's just a good guy. And we just talked for a while. I recorded a podcast and I'll upload it as a video soon. I mean, just like meeting new people and stuff, that's something like I've benefited from, and you can never grow tired of it. It's just something that, I don't know, it's beneficial. And like I said, I've invested quite a bit of money into trying to grow myself, but then eventually it kind of got to where I just started growing by itself. I didn't need to invest that much anymore.
Hmm.
Um, but I've kind of hit a slump lately. Once I hit like 23,000, man, it's been slow since then.
Let me tell you right now from the NFL meme community, which I'm on the fringes. I'm
Yeah.
like 15 or 16 largest right now, but it's so hard to grow anymore. Like wasn't like way ahead of the curve. I was like second on that list. So we're coming up on 5 years since we created the Instagram. We've only been like really dedicated to it for like three, but it's been five
Dang.
years since we made it. And I was seeing memes of NFL recently. His page is now like the third largest NFL page. He's got like just over 200,000 followers.
Yeah.
And he posted like his first meme ever. It was like in 2013. So he was like way ahead of the curve on that. I was like in the
Oh my
second tier of
gosh.
people. And so everyone's been super slow recently because there's not content right now. Like football season is in the peak of the off season for the last month. So
Bro, it's been
everyone's like
so
stagnating right now.
dry. Yeah, it's like I'm trying to make Instagram posts and it gets very tiring. I'm like, dude, there's just nothing to post about. Like I'll post player stats or something. I'll find something to do, but it's tough.
Mhm.
And
So this is the driest of the dry because there's not even like breaking news stories either. Like news always has some of our biggest posts,
yeah,
like non-football season. Even Tim Tebow was like a huge news story that people cared about, but there's
right.
not even like that recently. Like
Tim,
it's just like David DeCastro gets cut every now and then.
yeah, yeah. Tim Tebow is like, that's a name that's always going to get the hype no matter what. So like that was a big
Yeah.
thing for the media. And then yeah, David DeCastro got cut by the Steelers, and then they didn't even give it time because like the day after or the same day they signed Tri Turner, I'm like, dude, this is
Yeah.
something you gotta you got to stretch this out for us. You can't sign him right away. You got to.
You just reminded me of a perfect story where we were doing like mock drafts and talking way too much like we knew what Zach Wilson and Trey Lance and Justin Fields were going to be in the future. And
Yeah.
it's like 6 weeks because now the NFL draft is as popular as the actual NFL because people love the transaction sometimes as much as they love the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the funny things that happened was Aaron Rodgers, the Schefter news was dropped on draft day at like 12 o'clock. It was like an hour before we were going to go on radio and do our draft preview show. And then Rodgers dropped. I was like, damn, you couldn't have done this any day in the last 6 weeks. Like any day before this, you couldn't have given us like a week's worth of content. It had to be on NFL draft day.
I know that was
Aaron
nuts.
Rodgers dropped the bomb.
Yeah, that was nuts. I was like, this literally happened on draft day. So much, I don't know. They're trying to. I feel like a lot of it is media, but it's like, yeah, like you said, you got to stretch this out because I mean that's in the off season. One story is a week's, 2 weeks worth of stuff that you got to stretch out. I mean, yeah, it's
look at
repetitive.
What we did with Julio Jones. We took Julio Jones and made it like 3 weeks of content.
That's awesome. The fact that you're able to do that is good, and you got to keep people interested.
He's a future Hall of Famer, but for a wide receiver too, we stretched out like 3 weeks of content out of it.
Goodness gracious, man, that's nuts. I just like the fact that you have to find a way to do that in the off season
because football is becoming a year-round sport, like the closest thing to it at the very least. Like obviously there hasn't been much in the last month around football, but it's the closest thing to a year-round sport that exists. And you know, I saw ESPN was like talking about Dwayne Haskins on SportsCenter. I was like, yeah, it sells, it keeps content rolling.
True
even
that.
in dry times.
True that. You know, something I saw yesterday that was trending in the NFL was Steelers. I think he's the linebacker. It's Devin Bush.
Yeah, Devin Bush is the middle linebacker for the Steelers.
Okay, yeah, he was trending yesterday, and I was like, okay, let's do some research. And I was reading a bunch of comments, and they're like, bro, have you seen his Twitter lately? He's like acting weird, and then he posted some cat video. I was like, what's this cat video? So on Twitter, all I searched was Devin Bush cat, and so I was like, okay, let's see what pops up here on Devin Bush cat. And I guess he like retweeted a video of a cat falling like 11 stories, and I was like, oh, that is awful. But like people were like giving him a bunch of hate and just saying he's acting weird. So I was like, I don't know, just like weird. You got to find something that's trending in the NFL.
That was the story from like Monday, wasn't it? Where he made the TikTok joke, and everyone was like, he doesn't know, he doesn't recognize who's on his own team, and yeah, Devin Bush is now the guy who we're like, okay, let's talk about him for the next week or something, because now people are drawn to Devin Bush's Twitter over that one TikTok tweet. So
yeah, he's like, if you got TikTok, stay the F away from me.
If you're a grown man and you got TikTok, yeah.
I'm like, dude, aren't you on TikTok, or aren't you like making? And I'm like, dude, you have literally the Steelers locker room is nothing but TikTok, and it's so annoying.
Yeah.
But
I felt kind of weird about that last year because like generally one of the great compliments I've got, I don't want to like toot my own horn, but like one of the great compliments I've gotten was saying that like my memes are too smart sometimes. Like they're just like it takes a second for people to get it.
Yeah.
Because like it's something that makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to everyone else. When
Yeah.
I make a joke like saying that no one knew Derrick Henry was going to go for 2,000 yards until Derrick Henry went for 2,000 yards. There was no like build up to it. It was just like, oh shit, he just went for 2,000 yards all of a sudden. And so, you know, it takes some time for people to get jokes. And I played into the Juju stuff when we kind of like bullied him into submission as an NFL like fan base. We all just bullied him into submission last December, but I played into it because it was like, this is too easy. Like this is too easy of content for people to love. Like it's just the content is simple. You just
gotta
take
use
the
it.
song. Yeah, you just take the song, you overlay a video. It's just too easy to make. And I played into it, and I have some regrets about it because the crime was not worth the punishment. Like the crime of The crime of ruining sportsmanship or being a bad sport was not worth the vilification that Juju Smith-Schuster and Chase Claypool got last year.
But I don't know. It's still though. I when I saw that tweet from Devin Bush, if you're a grown man and you got TikTok, stay away from me. I'm like, I don't blame the guy, but at the same time, have you not seen your own locker room? And maybe his now, like behind the scenes, what if Juju and Chase Claypool are like having beef with him? Like, I can't believe you'd say that. I'm like, you know, we make TikToks, and now we're offended.
Again, to the same point, they gotta be able to brush that off. Like that can't be that bad.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like there's a difference between offensive and defensive position players within locker rooms. I feel like there's a little bit of a divide to a certain point where they don't interact as much. But
Yeah, true.
I don't think this is anything other than just people making a story that is kind of fun. I don't even think the Juju thing was really like difficult. It was just something that was just like hanging over the locker room for a while. I don't think anyone really like went off on that. Which, by the way, like we don't give Mike Tomlin enough credit for all the shit he's had to put up with for the past like 3 years. Going back to that weird season where Le'Veon held out and Antonio Brown like just skipped the last game of the season. He kept that all under wraps for a long time.
Well, I don't know. I'm almost thinking that Mike Tomlin's the one who's got a problem too, because like you got to think in his locker room, everything just starts falling apart. It's always, the Le'Veon Bell situation, the Antonio Brown situation. Even Big Ben's had some drama through Mike Tomlin as well. Then you got this whole Juju stuff and like goofing off in the locker rooms and making stupid TikToks, and I'm like, dude, does this guy not have any control over his players though? Is that you also
I go
got
the other way. I think that it would be a total dysfunctional mess if not for Mike Tomlin. I feel like these, especially when Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell's, like that weird season where they like almost made the playoffs, but Le'Veon sat the whole year. But then they said he had to come back in week 11, but then he didn't have to come back in week 11, so he sat out the whole year and still got free agency. That whole year, that was also Antonio Brown's last year.
Yep, it was. I don't know, but I see it
felt
like
everything just unraveled after it had been under wraps for like 3 years or something. Oh, and the only glimpse that we had got was Antonio Brown live streaming a Mike Tomlin post game press conference. Like that was the only like real sign we got that there was something wrong there.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Yeah, I don't know, like. Mike Tomlin, he has been one of the best coaches in the NFL, like, for the last decade or over a decade now. But, like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be something going on with his coaching and his control over the players in the locker room that things aren't going the way they should. Does that make sense? Like, why is it the Steelers who have always got the issues? Like,
the Steelers
locker room
recently. In the locker room. I feel like these are like 3 different cases. One, you have the Big Ben thing, which was one thing before. Now it's just Big Ben won't go away. And he's allowed a lifetime contract basically, even though it's been like 2 years since he was a starting quarterback in the NFL, and now his arm is shot. Last year we tormented him by calling him Jimmy Garothlisberger, and that did not. This was when they were like 11-0, and like everyone thought they were going to the Super Bowl. I was like, they're going to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garothlisberger at quarterback. Then he threw like 4 picks in the last game of the season. I just felt so vindicated. I was like, oh. I tried to tell y'all, only Alex Smith threw fewer yards per pass attempt than Big Ben, and Big Ben had like 5 more interceptions than Alex Smith, and all of it felt like it was just falling apart. And yeah, Big Ben should have had, we actually looked this up the other day on Football Outsiders, so shout out to them. Big Ben led the league in passes that should have been intercepted but didn't get intercepted. So he had 10 on the season, but he should have had 20 interceptions on the season last year, just because of drops or missed coverages by
missed opportunities. Yeah. I've seen stats like that before. And some other stat that I've seen pop up in like the last 2 seasons was like I forget the name of it. It was like big throw completions or something. I'm like, what do you consider a big time throw? And like Tom Brady was leading that category, and I was like, what? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it does seem strange because Tom Brady, he does make big throws, but I don't think he makes more big throws than anyone else in the sport. I don't think
Yeah,
that when I think of Tom
yeah.
Brady, I think of winning a lot more than everyone else, but I don't think of like he makes like prime time big plays more than anyone else.
Well, I know he's like, he's not that he's not a great quarterback, but he's not known for launching it 40 yards downfield to an open receiver. He's just like a dump pass kind of guy.
Well, yeah, especially now that, he makes plays that he used to, but his body, betrays him a little bit. It's why he threw like so many interceptions at the start of the year, even though he was also unlucky in the interception stats. Like almost every one of his interceptable balls did get intercepted last year. Still, like it was like, oh, I'm gonna throw this out route to Mike Evans, but my body tells me one thing and my arm is like, 10% less than what it was, and then now pass is intercepted going back the other way kind of thing. So especially now
Yeah,
you don't
true.
see a lot of deep balls from Tom Brady, except that one time that Scotty Miller just burned the entire Packers defense and
Don't get me
made me
started.
realize. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
dude. Do you have YouTube pulled up?
I do indeed have the YouTube up
Yeah,
right
all
now.
right.
I
So
see your hands in your head just very sad right now.
this is my baby, my Packers helmet here. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and I can't tell you how tragic that game was.
Yeah,
Gosh, man.
I remember that pass happening, and in that moment I was like, oh, damn, they're gonna win. Like the Bucks are gonna win this game that I said there was no chance they could win. That I said was like, Packers by 1,000 in that game, and I was like, oh damn, they're gonna win this game.
Typical
And
Packers
I was
defense,
wrong.
bro. It just falls apart. They have all the talent on that roster in the defense, but it's just like the fact that they don't have a defensive. I mean, like, I don't know. They just never have a good defensive coach. And now they got this Joe Barry guy, and I'm like, he does not have a good track record, even though he's helped coach one of the top defenses in the NFL for the last few years. But it's like, I don't know, man.
I don't know either. Like the Packers are obviously talented on defense, and I think getting Preston Smith out of there is going to be a plus for y'all. Like I think Rashawn Gary is like a ridiculous like star player in the making. Like that dude is unbelievably good. He just hasn't like gotten all the opportunities yet.
He took a huge step up this last season, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. Like I think he is a legit star in the making, like breakout candidate next year per se. I know he kind of had a breakout year last year, but now Preston Smith is gone. Like he's gonna start like every snap basically for the Packers at outside linebacker. So they
Yeah.
have the pieces on defense, but I don't know how you put it together. And I think they're probably still like best team in one of the best teams in the NFC, like one of the three best teams in the NFC on paper. I just don't
On
know how it
paper.
comes together this year for them.
Yeah, that's how I feel every single year though, is because they're so untrustworthy, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It's like year after year, they just choke, man. It's like their defense they either can't stop a pass or they can't stop a run, or they can play extremely well for a game and then the next game they just let up 200 yards rushing. Like that NFC Championship game against the 49ers a couple years ago. And then the game against the Bucks, the NFC Championship game against the Bucks last season. I mean,
We're like night and day in the way they got beat. Like it was like big runs for the 49ers to just pick you apart. And then for Tampa Bay just like, other than taking advantage of the turnover in the first half, just ran you to death the entire game.
I'm
Just
telling you.
surgically picked you guys apart towards the end. But for the Niners, it was all about big plays. Let me ask you a question, actually. Were you
Yeah.
surprised when Aaron Jones went back to the Packers? Because I had thought that AJ Dillon's draft pick, that was what they were preparing for. Like AJ Dillon, I thought was the best running back in that class, and he had 150 yards against the Titans in like week 16. So I was stunned when they re-signed Aaron Jones after last season.
Okay, so this is what I'll say about the Aaron Jones situation. Am I surprised? I mean, I am, but I'm not. Considering he took a pay cut, like not a pay cut, but he took a lower contract offer. What, 4 years?
Reportedly, though, like it was
Yeah.
reported that the Dolphins offered like 15 a year, and that he signed for like 12 a year with the Packers.
Yeah. Here's what I have to say about that. He would not be coming back if he knew Aaron Rodgers was leaving Green Bay, you know? I don't think so. I think he knows that Aaron Rodgers is going to be back. Otherwise, a lot of the players that they have re-signed wouldn't be back. And I think they have full faith in Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not surprised that he came back. And yeah, it was reported that Dolphins had made a higher offer. But it was also reported that Aaron Jones loves Green Bay and he loves the team. And I'm not surprised because they knew that Jamal Williams was going to leave. They knew they couldn't re-sign him, and he should get a starting opportunity elsewhere. They knew that A.J. Dillon was a rookie, so they still have a couple years left on his rookie contract. And I knew that A.J. Dillon was going to be like a stud, and watching him blow up that game was amazing. I don't know. I guess it was surprising for Jones to come back, but it also wasn't because, like, I don't know. Does that make any sense? Like,
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying there, and
Yeah.
I just assumed that the whole process was about like turning over to AJ Dillon and not paying top 10 money for a running back. And
that's true. It is unlike Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't usually do something like that, especially for a running back or receiver position. You know, they don't really pay top tier money for that.
Like, it's not disrespectful to Aaron Jones, but I feel like I can name 7 to 10 running backs that I would prefer over Aaron Jones, at least now. Like, Aaron Jones might get better with age and break the running back trend, but there's also a scenario where Aaron Jones becomes a really bad contract for the Packers and any team. But like, it was just kind of surprising. I was like, I thought the whole point of this was to like have AJ Dillon be the number one and then go get like a James White or something, or someone who's just a pass catching back.
Yeah, that is weird. But you know, since I think Aaron Jones is like what 26, 27 years old, maybe he's older than that.
He is. Oh.
I don't know. I think he's like 26 or 27. Let me look.
See, by the way, Jamal Williams is a Lion. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he signed with the Lions, man. Let's see. Aaron Jones will turn 27 on December 2nd.
Okay, so he's 26, about to be 27.
Mm-hmm. So he'll be, and he signed a 4-year contract. He'll probably be heading into his age 31 season, I think, on his last year in Green Bay. And I think that, and you know how running backs usually have a shorter career. I think that they knew this. The Packers knew this, and they know the risk behind it. And that's why they didn't offer him $15 million per year. And they made sure Aaron understood that, like, we really want you in Green Bay, but we're going to offer you 4 years, $48 million. And I think that Aaron took that deal knowing that he was going to have the best quarterback in the league coming back, arguably the best quarterback in the league. You know, there's lots of arguments about that. But I'm just saying he wouldn't come back unless he knew this team was going to be competing, because he could have made better money elsewhere. I think he loves it.
Also, let's note that, courtesy of sporttrack.com, that this contract is a 4-year deal, but in actuality, the Packers can get out of it with a $6.5 million cap hit after 2 years and $21 million. So the Packers can theoretically get out of the contract in 2 years and only pay like $10.5 million a year.
See, that's smart. That is very smart. If for some reason he just shuts down and does not play well, I mean, there you go. That's the way out of it.
The Packers have a contingency plan in there, which makes it even stranger that he didn't take the Dolphins offer. If they can get out of the deal in 2 years and only pay like $6.5 million in dead cap, then it makes it even more shocking that Aaron Jones didn't take the 4-year deal from the Dolphins.
Okay, so that actually proves or supports my point more. He would not come back with a contract like that if he knew that Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to be there. If he knew that he didn't have a chance at a Super Bowl, I don't think he'd come back. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I just think that the players know what's going on, but they're just letting this ride out. This is Aaron's life. It's his drama. They're just going to let him deal with it.
The franchise is a stalemate right now. Aaron said, I want to leave. They said, tough luck. And now they're just both at a standoff. And, at, 2 in the afternoon today, at least where I am, 2 in the afternoon, that Aaron Rodgers is going to play the match on TNT. And I want to see if he does something stupid, or does something that sets Twitter on fire because he's like, oh, screw the Packers, or, wears an I'm offended t-shirt or whatever it is. Like, I just want to see if he does something like that.
I read something that like Aaron Rodgers didn't want any of this stuff going public, but it did. I think this whole frustration issue, like he wanted people to know he's frustrated with the Packers, and I don't blame him because, I mean, obviously I'd be frustrated too. If you look at what Tom Brady does in Tampa Bay, he's like, I want these players around me. Coach, you do this, I'll get you Super Bowl. Aaron wants that. So obviously he's offended and he's frustrated with the Packers. And he didn't opt out. That's the thing. I don't see him leaving Green Bay because even though he's frustrated with the team, it's not. I read that he didn't want this stuff going public. Somehow like the frustrations, got leaked and then people blow it out of proportion. So he's just like, okay, I'll just ride along with it. That just helps prove my point more. And
yeah,
he's just living his life.
Something there. It's not like there's nothing there.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely frustrated. But I don't think it was to the point where like he didn't demand a trade. He didn't request a trade. There was reports saying that he would have accepted the trade to the 49ers. But that's just rumors. Like at this point, who knows what's true and what's not true. But I just don't see like Aaron Jones wouldn't have stayed if he knew Aaron Rodgers was going to leave. Like he trusted him. And I think that I just, the things for the Packers, the players that they're re-signing, working on an extension with Devontae Adams. I believe they're working on an extension with Zadarius Smith as well. They're going to have to re-sign Jair Alexander, I think, after this year. I think they're working on all of that, knowing that Aaron Rodgers will be back, hopefully. That's just the good, that's the mindset I'm trying to have to make it all make sense in my head, but
yeah, no, I get that. And the good part is like there's a lot of reason to be frustrated. I can go down a list of a decade of betrayals, beginning with just everything Mike McCarthy. Just everything Mike McCarthy was a betrayal.
He was there 5 years too long, man. 5 years too long.
Pretty much. It took them losing with Aaron Rodgers at home to Josh Rosen to finally be like, okay, that's enough. We can't fall any further. We can't fall any further.
That poor guy, dude. He's done everything he can for that team. He's put it all on his back. And,
And to the point on Rodgers, like, I don't think he wanted the rumors going out that he wanted a trade. The 49ers one made no sense when they said, like, they offered the 3 pick and other compensation, like Jimmy G and the 3rd pick for Aaron Rodgers. I'm like,
yeah,
that makes no sense because they technically already have their quarterback. So yeah, Jimmy G might start, but are they going to draft like Kyle Pitts with the 3rd pick in the draft? Like none of it made sense. And so yeah, I don't think he wanted to get it out there, but I knew even when people were talking about, hey, Aaron Rodgers can have an opt out and get $20 million fully guaranteed. I knew that wasn't going to happen because that felt like folding, like in card terms, like it felt like you were just folding your hand if you opted out and retired for the season. Like I think Aaron Rodgers, at coming off of an MVP, doesn't hate the Packers so much that he's going to retire. Like,
no, absolutely not.
Not that.
And going into your age 38 season, what kind of quarterback would do that? Like, you don't have that many years left. Why would you waste one? Just, I'm so frustrated with the team, I'm just going to not play. He's not going to hold out.
Ooh, that's interesting though, because I do think he'll sit out into camp. I think he will sit out into August and maybe September, but at least August.
But
he's definitely going to.
He'll start week 1. That's how I see it. I mean, he doesn't have to show up.
I would say I'm about 80% sure he starts week 1 for the Packers, and he might do an Emmitt Smith thing. So back in the 90s, Emmitt Smith sat out a season after a Super Bowl, and the Cowboys started 0-2, and then Jerry Jones caved and gave him the largest contract extension of any running back in NFL history, and he was back, and they went on a crazy run that year. I think they lost in the NFC Championship, but he could
Dang.
sit out maybe one, maybe 2 games. I'd say like 80% sure he'll start week 1, but maybe he sits out like 2 or 3 games.
And he's like,
to,
all right, you guys wanna draft Jordan Love? Fine, play him, see how you do. You know, that might be how he takes it. And
yeah.
they'll be like, all right, Aaron, we need you back, please. What do we need to do to get you on the field?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
And,
a good point.
Yeah, again, not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying like 80% sure he'll be the Packers starter week 1. Like he will eventually lose this like stare down with management, I think, cuz I don't think he's ready to make it ugly. Like I don't think he's going to make, cuz you can get out right now if you're willing to make it ugly and make things awkward with the organization.
Yeah.
You can get out. I just don't think Aaron wants to make things ugly right now. He just wants to be very cool and calculated, which, has kind of been Aaron Rodgers' whole career, is just
For
calculated
real.
moves.
The dude is smart. I mean, he's a genius.
Yeah, he protects the brand very well. He protects the Aaron Rodgers brand which, to be honest, the Aaron Rodgers brand isn't very much, but he protects it very well with cool, calculated decisions.
Well, he's been labeled as like a diva his entire career, and I think he's just like, last season it looked like he was having more fun. He had a smile on his face, every time he played, and
Yeah.
it just like in this offseason, it's like he didn't seem to care. Like he's like, fine, I'm just gonna go and chill with my new fiance and enjoy my off season, and I don't know, you know what I mean? Like he's like, I'm just not gonna let this go to my head.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think reason Aaron Rodgers gets labeled as a diva at times is because he is more outspoken than what we're used to. Like he's not out there all the time, but he put himself out more than Tom Brady, who never says anything interesting. And he put himself out more than Drew Brees, who never says anything interesting. And for him coming from that same line of quarterbacks, he's just more interesting than those guys. He's not that interesting in general, but he's just more interesting than what we were used to from quarterbacks going and doing fun interviews and, chugging beers and pulling up in the back of pickup trucks after the NFC Championship game and things like that.
Yeah, and like going the whole entire MVP season, he was on the Pat McAfee show every Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a good
and
one
like,
too.
I mean, he was doing that throughout the season, and he won the MVP. Like, how cool is that to have the same quarterback on your podcast every single week? No, and then he just gets better and better and better and wins the MVP. Like,
Yeah.
and then you ask him, like, dude, like, you just won the MVP. Like, I don't know. He was just so much happier this entire season or last season.
I think so. Look at his life. He's now gonna get married. He's Aaron Rodgers, who wants to parlay being the greatest quarterback to ever pick up a football into hosting a game show, which is, interesting.
Yeah.
He's 38 years old. He's coming to the twilight of his career. He's got a great team. Like, I mean, I know that it ended in heartache, but they had a great team. Maybe the best team since 2011 that the Packers have had. The one that went 15-1 and lost to the Giants. They've got a great team. Like, of course, life should have been awesome for Roger. And then it just like 180 flipped.
That's why I'm thinking so much of it is just media. Like, I'm sure he was frustrated with the front office and management, and he was having conversations, but I think something got leaked and it was totally blown out of proportion.
I think
he's
the championship game did it.
Yeah.
I think that he had fun that year, but it doesn't distract from the fact that, one, you kind of cost him the NFC Championship, and two, you drafted Jordan Love over him and communicated that like you were going to move on from him at some point. Like, communicated that was ultimately the plan. Because the thing with Jordan Love that's interesting is that he would be the first quarterback since Aaron Rodgers be drafted in the first round and not play in his first 2 seasons. Like, not start a game in his first 2 seasons.
That's true.
like usually when you draft a quarterback in the first round, you anticipate that by 2 years they'll end up being the starting quarterback at some point. Like they would at least find the field in some way. So, um, yeah, I think there was an anticipation that he was
I
probably
still
gonna be
can't.
moved.
I still can't believe they drafted a quarterback. But okay,
Well,
so
so yeah, yeah.
sorry. I talked
No, you
to
go.
a Packers podcast guy. I forget exactly what he messaged me. He told me some stuff. He told me that I can't say. So I don't know, how much of it is true, but this is what he said. That he thinks the mindset was. He goes, coming off of the 2019 season, it looked as if Aaron was starting to decline a little bit because they still had a lot of talent around him. So they drafted Jordan Love on the fly because he was available at the spot they liked. He says he thinks they drafted him on the fly, not knowing what Aaron was going to do the next year, and knowing that they'd have 4 years of a rookie contract. They could always try to trade Jordan Love away, knowing that he would be coached and mentored by one of the greatest quarterbacks in history. So I don't know. It was like in a bunch of DMs. He sent me like a mindset through a coach, and I was like, dang, that actually makes sense. But I would have to like scroll through a bunch of messages to find it. But like,
Yeah, and
the
it
stuff he
made
was
sense at the
saying,
time, right? Like the Rodgers move made sense at the time. Not like sense where we're like we all like laughed at it, like it was idiotic, but
it was for sure
um
idiotic.
it was defendable at the very least, where you could see what they were thinking, where they were better last year when Aaron Rodgers was a game manager. When Aaron Rodgers had to take over in games, they ended up like losing at home to the Eagles, and
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, I
yeah,
remember that one. That was
I think it
painful.
was on like Thursday Night Football too. Like that made it even worse. It was like kind of a prime time game,
They
but
lost to Wentz,
yeah,
man.
yeah. Wentz, oh Carson, it's gonna be such a weird season this year.
It
But
is.
to that point, like you could see it starting to change, and obviously you had a new front office and a new coach that sometimes want to pick their quarterback. And to their credit, they've been pivoting. Like they've been shopping Jordan Love. They've been committed to at the very least a contract extension, maybe for Aaron Rodgers. Like that, it's not like they don't realize, oh, we kind of messed up, but they did trade up to get a quarterback, and
Yeah, they did.
it's someone who we don't hear a lot of people saying, "Oh my gosh, Jordan Love is amazing." Like Jordan Love is fantastic. Like Jordan Love seems like, yeah, he's okay. Like
Yeah.
he's pretty good, not great. Like we haven't heard like in camp everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's amazing." Like I just remember that happening with Dak Prescott. Everyone was like, "Yo, this guy's like a fourth round pick, but he plays like a 4 year veteran already." And then he obviously became Dak Prescott when Tony Romo broke his back. But
Yeah, he did.
you don't hear a lot of that from Jordan Love.
No, you hear like he's progressing. He needs to work on a lot of fundamentals, though, and blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, was this guy really worth trading up for? I mean, you took a guy in the first round. You traded up for a quarterback in the first round who would have been available in the second or third, I think. But it's whatever.
I mean, I think the reasoning was they were afraid the Saints were going to take him at 27, which is why they traded up to 26. But even then, like Jalen Hurts for the Eagles, like Jalen Hurts is a backup quarterback, and well, he can be a starting quarterback with the right circumstances, but the Eagles are going to suck next year. But
Absolutely.
Jalen Hurts is a backup quarterback, and that's okay. If you're going to invest a second round pick in a backup quarterback, it's actually becoming a smarter option now. Like, if you're going to invest that second round pick, but they gave up first and a third round pick in a draft where the last year, coming off of an NFC championship and Aaron Rodgers becoming the MVP, the only draft pick from 2020 that gave them snaps in the playoffs was 7 AJ Dillon snaps in their 2 playoff games. So that's the part where it's like, oh, you didn't get any help. Like not even like
Yeah.
7 snaps of a backup running back. That's what you got in the draft coming
Yeah.
off of an NFC championship.
That's very
game.
true. That's very true. Otherwise, I mean, it looks like a pointless pick. Like you just wasted a first round pick because by the time Aaron hangs his cleats up, his Jordan Love's rookie contract's likely over. That's what I think.
It's like Garoppolo all over again.
That's true. And I don't know. I'm just like, it's dumbfounded. And I think that's what, some of Aaron's frustrations are for sure.
Yeah,
let's see.
The Packers are in a weird place there. And, Gutekunst and Lafleur are kind of in a weird place. Because
Lafleur.
I don't know if you noticed. Yes, Lafleur. You gotta say it like
Dodgeball.
like it just ends after the L. Lafleur.
You ever seen a Dodgeball? Ben Stiller's like, suck on that, Lafleur.
Lafleur. And then Mike Lafleur is now the offensive coordinator for the Jets. So
Yeah.
you got two Lafleurs. I love doing that. Lafleur. I don't know if you noticed, he felt like he was getting kind of predictable towards the end of the season. And that's where I'm like, oh, now he's in year 3. So now this is the time where you have to start evolving. Like, that's the one thing I give Sean McVay credit for being the wonder kid child who went to the Super Bowl with Todd Gurley. Sean McVay has totally evolved himself across the last 2 years. And it makes me realize, oh, he's going to be a coach for the next 30 years in the NFL. Because he's totally evolved his schemings. Even though last year they had shortcomings because of the quarterback. I think they were 20th in scoring last year, but he's evolved 3 different times in totally changing how he runs the offense based on who he has. So that's where Lafleur kind of in that situation now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you were kind of predictable after 2 years. People kind of figured out how to stop you. So how do you change it up with basically the same team with, Rodgers, Adams, Jones, Robert Tonyan, and as I like to call them, Equanimous Valdez Scantling Brown Jr.
Yeah, they're basically useless. I don't think there's not even to me a solid wide receiver too on the Packers. Alan Lazard I don't think is.
I was about to say, not a Devin Funchess fan.
I mean, he opted out on the year he signed with us. I mean, what did?
I don't know. I mean, he
didn't
wasn't
look
great
good
before, but
yeah,
I don't know.
He's
at
a
least
depth.
It looks like a wide receiver too.
No, I think he's depth. I don't even think he might start as a wide receiver too this season, but I don't think he's going to end up that way. I just think that I like the Amari Rodgers pick, but the fact that they still didn't pick a wide receiver in round 1 this year just pissed off Aaron Rodgers more and more.
I actually think that one's okay. I understand passing on wide receivers in the first round because best wide receivers are at the very top of the draft. Usually it's easy to tell, but you can get a lot of 3rd round, 2nd round, 4th round gems at wide receiver. It's one of those positions where you can find some gems later in the draft.
You can find gems in undrafted people and drafted wide receivers. Adam Thielen. Oh shoot! There's undrafted running backs.
Tyreek was a 5th round pick there.
Yeah.
There's Antonio Brown was a 6th round pick.
True that.
Keenan Allen 3rd round pick, but then a lot of them are Amari Cooper 3rd pick, Julio Jones 6, Odell 13, Mike Evans 13. There's a lot of top of the draft guys too, but you can get some studs late in the draft too. Even Devontae Adams, Devontae Adams was a 2nd round.
He was a 2nd round pick, and they expected him to be good in his first 2 seasons. He sucked, but he stepped it up, man.
I did this research during the season last year, so I kind of remember. I think DeAndre Hopkins was late first. I think he was 27 or something in the draft.
Where did Hopkins play? Was he at Clemson?
Yeah, he was at Clemson with. I think he got 1 year with. No, he was before Watson, so he was with Taj Boyd. I think was his quarterback.
I don't even know who that was.
Yeah, so. These were the early Dabo days at Clemson where they were playing in the Little Caesars Bowl, and they were playing in the Music City Bowl when winning 7-8 games a year.
Yeah.
The magical year that could have foretold a lot with Clemson, where the year before they went to the championship in 2015, they played in the Russell Athletic Bowl, in 2014, and they won like 51-0. And
my
it kind of
gosh.
foretold that that's what the team was going to be. It was like, oh, this team is way too good to be in the Russell Athletic Bowl. And then they ended Florida State. It happened to be when Jameis Winston was at Florida State too. So they lost a few games.
Winston was a stud at Florida State. I will say that. They were such a great team. And then after Winston was drafted, Florida State fell apart. I know that Dalvin Cook was there, but
I can tell you the moment that it all fell apart, and it was a college game day.
Mm-hmm.
It was the game was at noon, but they brought college game day there because it was 2 top 10 teams in the country. And I watched college game day, and then I went and did something for an hour, like probably went outside and played football for a bit or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I came back, it was like 9:40, and it was Louisville 21, Florida State 0, and Lamar Jackson was just cooking Florida State on prime time at college game day. I was like, oh my Lord, this dude is unbelievable.
It was Lamar, huh?
Was the game that sprung Lamar Jackson to the MVP and basically ended Florida State. Like that point forward, it was over for Florida State because now Clemson's better than you, and you've just gotten absolutely destroyed by Lamar Jackson. And it just all fell apart after that because they play in the same division of the ACC.
And Louisville was never like I mean, they may have broke top 10 a few times, but they kept losing. You know, they were just like, they're like a high scoring offense, but they never had a defense. They weren't like competitive with the SEC and everything. So, and he still won the Heisman.
They were 5th in the country. They got up to 5th in the country, and they played number 3 Clemson. It's like in like early November, and it was like 4th and goal at the 2-yard line. They were down 6 points with like a minute left, and they had 4th and goal at the 2. And Lamar got stopped like a half yard short of a touchdown. So they were like a half yard away from going to the championship that year. But then after they lost that game, I think they lost to like Kentucky and then finished like 8-4 or something. Like it after they lost that game at number 5, like they just lost like 2 games in a row after that, and one of them was to Kentucky. So Lamar got the MVP, but
gosh, man. That's rough.
You know, I think Benny Snell was there. Maybe that was the Benny Snell year, like right before they won. I think they beat Penn State in a bowl game one year, but this was still when Kentucky was like 7-8 wins a season. Like they weren't great that year, and they beat Lamar Jackson at the end of the season.
I thought they got less than that, honestly.
It could be. My timelines of Kentucky football are off right now. I'm not a huge Kentucky football guy, but my timelines are off.
I don't know who is a big Kentucky football fan. I don't know if I've met anyone.
Definitely my buddy Blake. He comes on the podcast quite regularly. He's an NFL draft guy. He's from Ohio-Kentucky border, so grew up Kentucky basketball, Kentucky football.
Gosh. I know more about Kentucky basketball than I do Kentucky football.
Yeah, Kentucky football hasn't been good until just recently, and that one magical season where they had what was his name, Tim Couch, and was it the air raid offense in the SEC. It's like other than that, Kentucky football's just kind of been been there.
Didn't they? Who did they hire? Isn't Les Miles there? Or is he with Kansas or somewhere like that?
Les Miles was with Kansas, and then he got fired over the sexual harassment thing going on at LSU. So Les Miles is gone. By the way, Les Miles won 3 games in 2 seasons at Kansas, I want to say. So even he couldn't have broken the Kansas curse at this point. Yeah, I've done multiple podcasts on just how funny Kansas football has been across the last decade. It's been truly unbelievable. From when they won the Orange Bowl with Mark Mangino as their coach, and one of the funniest photos I've ever seen is Mark Mangino at the Orange Bowl and him being fatter than the Orange Bowl mascot, which is genuinely unbelievable that he's more round than the Orange Bowl mascot. But yeah, no, ever since then, Kansas has been just really bad.
Yeah, I get Kansas and Kentucky football mixed up sometimes. I'm like, they're both so just. I mean, I think Kentucky's better. At
Kentucky's
football?
good now. Kentucky's good now. They won the unofficial seventh bowl game a couple of years ago with Josh Allen and Benny Snell. The what's it called? I think it's the one they play in Orlando. Is it still called the Citrus Bowl, or is it like the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl now or something? I don't
I
know.
couldn't tell you. I really couldn't.
It's one of those, but you know how there's like six New Year's Six games. It's like the unofficial
Yep.
seventh one they play on New Year's Day. But they won that game a couple years ago, and they got one game against Georgia to win the SEC East. Like if they won that game, they would have won the SEC East. And Georgia kicked their ass because it's
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah.
But they were one game away from winning the SEC East.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Man.
Yeah.
I know they did a little better last season, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they're coming around a little bit, and they had Lynn Bowden, who fought the entire Virginia team at a bowl game. Yeah, that was a fun one.
Patricia Newby in the chat. She probably commented this a while ago, but Patricia, if you're still here, I apologize about the late reply. How do you feel about Richard Sherman? Plus, I love the Saints. So, are you asking if Richard Sherman's going to go with the Saints? I covered this yesterday. I believe that Richard Sherman is taking offers from other teams to get the 49ers to offer him a higher deal. I still have the 49ers landing Richard Sherman, in my opinion.
Okay.
Kyle, what do you think?
I haven't been following the Richard Sherman story recently, and I remember we were talking about this before, and I officially broke the news on our podcast that Richard Sherman was going to sign with the Cleveland Browns. So if he does sign with the Cleveland Browns, then I still get to. Yeah, it was when you were on and we were talking about Richard Sherman, and I said, you know what, I'm going to declare it right here that Richard Sherman is going to sign with the Cleveland Browns with no knowledge of anything. I'm just going to say Richard Sherman is going to sign with the Cleveland Browns.
If that happens, I'll give you a high five because that's all I have to offer. But
yeah,
that would be insane.
With nothing going on that front. So I don't know. I think I don't know what Richard Sherman is anymore, which is kind of interesting because I know he was pretty good 2 years ago, and obviously people make the jokes that the Chiefs just kept going after him in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what he is anymore. I haven't been following the rumors as closely as you have, but
he's injury prone. That's what I say.
I do know that. Like I know that from, having injuries last year and obviously tearing his Achilles with the Seahawks, which, for having the position be a lot of backpedaling, a torn Achilles can kind of be detrimental to your explosiveness. But
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the Saints kind of just want talent, right? The Saints kind of just want pieces. They don't really care how they fit together. They'll just take everyone and anyone at this point. So that could be interesting, even if I don't think that's going to happen. But
I don't know. I just don't see him going to the Saints. If Richard at this stage of Richard Sherman's career, he wants a Super Bowl, and I don't think the Saints are going to get a Super Bowl with Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill starting at quarterback. At least not, this year. So I think the 49ers give him the best opportunity. Out of the teams that he's been considering, I think it's still the 49ers.
Yeah, unless he wants to do like a Josh Norman thing and like go to cold Buffalo for a year, but I don't know if he wants to do that at this point. But yeah, Richard Sherman's going to be all right here, and the 49ers are fine. Like the 49ers I think are good, but someone's got to lose 10 games in that division. I don't know who it's going to be right now. Could be anyone. I don't think it's going to be the Rams, but it could be anyone in that division losing 10 games.
That's true. I mean, it's a tough division. I think it'll be the Cardinals. That's the same division, right? NFC.
Yeah, that's the same division.
Yeah.
Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, 49ers.
I have. If anyone's going to lose 10 games, I have it being the Cardinals or Seattle.
Yeah, those are the ones that I say. And maybe the 49ers if things really go south, but they've got that Trey Lance card in their back pocket. Even though I think Trey Lance should be starting week 1. I don't know if he is going to start week 1, but they've always got that waiting in their back pocket.
I think Jimmy G is going to be starting, but I told Raj last night of that San Francisco 49ers page, I said I see Lance starting by midseason, just because like their offense isn't going to be where they want it to be. Like they'll probably be winning, but their offense is like ranked 20th to 25th because they're not like an explosive team. And I think Lance is going to give them that like spark of running mobility and big slinging arm. You know what I mean?
That's the reason they got him in the first place, was just because he can do things that Jimmy G can't. Presumably, they're hoping he can do things Jimmy G can't.
I think he's going to provide that nice spark.
Yeah, and I don't know where it's going to go from here for them, though. I'm genuinely interested to see where it goes for the 49ers.
Yeah, me too. I think they're going to be good, though. They're all coming back off injuries. If they can stay healthy, I think they have a Super Bowl caliber team.
I think they have like a second round exit caliber team when fully healthy.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not an indictment of them. I just think that, they play in the same conference as Tampa Bay and Green Bay and the Rams, who on paper are still probably better than them.
That's true. It'd be tough, man.
Yeah, but, no disrespect to the 49ers. They're still – I thought that would have happened last year had they stayed healthy. I would have thought that, there are better teams in the NFC than there were in 2019, which was, the NFC had like 3 teams that won 13 games in 2019, but the Vikings beat the Saints in the wild card, so that kind of like put a damper on it. And the Packers they won 13 games, but I think most people kind of see the Packers, they were like, they weren't quite as good as they were that year because they got kind of exposed by the 49ers. So they had good matchup against the Packers, who won 13 games, and Cousins bailed them out by beating the Saints in the wild card round that year.
Yeah. And speaking of the Rams earlier, what do you think of them in Stafford?
So I was actually talking about this on a podcast last week where I personally think the Rams are really good, but I also recognize like they have 2 new coordinators essentially. I know Shane Waldron left, but he was the unofficial. He wasn't the play caller, but he was like the offensive coordinator last year for the Rams. So obviously new voices in there from coaches, and there's volatility year over year, but I think the Rams are really good. Like Stafford is a significant upgrade versus Goff, and I think their offense is going to improve just by that, and having an offense that now is going to exclusively run through Cam Akers, because they were kind of figuring that out at the start of the year. Like it was like some Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson, and then Cam Akers got healthy, and they kind of did a committee, but now it's just Cam Akers. They're going to run the ball through Cam Akers for sure. And
I agree.
I think offense is going to be better, and defense was, number 2 in the league last year. So, I found Leonard Floyd's extension weird, but it's still technically he was there last year, so it's similar. And you've got maybe the 2 best defensive players in football on your team,
and so Ramsey and Donald.
Yeah. Those are pretty good anchors to build with. So I think the Rams are really good this year. Like, I think they're going to be really good.
I think so, too. I think they might be off cue a little bit on the offensive side. I mean, Stafford's a smart guy, though. But I think they might have, some overthrows or miscues on routes, just trying to get adjusted. But I think if they settle down, it's just dangerous. Absolutely dangerous. I love Woods. I love Deshaun Jackson if he could stay healthy. Funny thing here, Deshaun Jackson reached out to the team here at NFL Rumors because we predicted that he would sign with the Rams, and he reached out and was like, "Yo, how'd you do that?" It was so cool. He's like, "I didn't even know I was signing there."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jesus. That's awesome.
Yeah, I saw the DMs, and it was like the 1-for-1 or whatever his username is,
Yeah.
He's like, "How'd you guys predict that?" He goes, "I didn't even know I was going to be signing there." And he's like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you, Deshaun."
That sounds so cool. The news breaking game just seems so cool. Like Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Just like reach out like, "Yo, I don't even know how you did that." But
yeah.
I am beginning a campaign because I would like to start a conversation about Tyler Higbee. Like we, as a society and as football fans, need to start a conversation about Tyler Higbee because that he's like George Kittle but slower and
Mm-hmm.
less big, like smaller George Kittle, and they can just Stafford's just gonna have that safety blanket all the time, and I think he's
Big
gonna
Higby fan,
be
huh?
it's going to be a PPR monster this year in fantasy football. So I would just like to have a conversation about Tyler Higbee. As America, we need to start having a conversation about Tyler Higbee.
I've watched him the last few years. Let's see. See, he's 28, and he's been in the league since 2016, so he's played 5 years already. I've been watching him, and I know he was kind of shadowed by the other guy that was there. What's his name?
Gerald Everett.
Everett, yeah, but he's not there anymore, I don't think.
Gerald Everett is a Seahawk, I think.
I think so, yeah, Seattle Seahawk. So if you look at Higbee, since 2017, or after the 2017 season, so since 2018, he's caught over 70% of his passes, which is huge. In 2019, he caught 77%. To be fair, let's see, it was 69 catches, which is, I mean, that's a lot for a tight end. It's not like it's a low amount.
Yeah. No, it's not bad. Do you know how many yards he had?
734 yards and 3 touchdowns. He
like
had
10 yards a catch. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, he had 10.6 yards per reception. But in 2020, because Goff took a step backwards, so, I mean, to be expected. He caught 73% of his passes, 44 catches on 60 targets, 521 yards, 5 touchdowns. And he still had Everett there as well. But with Stafford, I think that Higbee could be a lethal weapon. It sucks that he's already 28, but I've liked Higbee for a while. He's been kind of under the radar, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like he's going to be a stud, but I think he's going to be a big part of the reason why they're so successful. Like he's going to be one of those weapons that the Rams call upon and have success with him. And I think because I want to start a conversation, I just want to make sure that I get him on my fantasy football teams this year. It's the same thing I used to do with Jamison Crowder, where I kept saying like, oh my gosh, why does Sam Darnold always throw to Jamison Crowder? And I just kept drafting him on all my fantasy teams. And then last year things went south quick, so then Jamison Crowder was starting a lot for me. But was like, yeah, Jamison Crowder was on all my fantasy teams for like 2 years because I was like, well, Sam Darnold just keeps throwing to him all the time. So PPR monster right there. Just keep getting him on your team.
Yeah, I think Higbee could be that guy, especially in an offense led by Matthew Stafford, and you have other weapons like Woods and Cup. You're gonna have Deshaun Jackson. There could be a lot of mouths to feed, though.
They spent a second-round pick on a wide receiver too. I think Juju Atwell, I think is his name. I think he's now a Ram. So
yeah,
they've got some guys there.
Yeah, they do. They also had another receiver I like there. He was like a depth guy. I forget his last name. Myers maybe or.
Myers?
I
remember Josh Reynolds. I remember he was there.
It was Reynolds. I knew it had a Y in it.
A Y and an E somewhere in there, a couple E's. But I think he's a Titan now, if I remember correctly. I think Josh Reynolds is a Titan.
Yes, he is. He is. Ooh. He's 26 years old, and he was selected in the 4th round of the 2017 draft. You're right. He is a Titan. I remember that signing now.
I was like, the Titans have a lot of weird people. I just found out the other day Janoris Jenkins is a Titan, and I knew it before. I just, again, forgot that Janoris Jenkins
He was with the Saints, right?
He was with the Saints last year.
God, he was such a stud. He's like old, but he's so good.
Yeah. He was a stud when the Giants gave him like $68 million back in like 2015. I didn't even know he was a Titan now, but that makes sense why the Titans got rid of some of those corners like Malcolm and Adoree Jackson and didn't just replace him with Christian Fulton.
Look at this stats for 2020 for Janoris Jenkins. At age 32, it says he played in 20 games, I guess because he made the playoffs.
That would be 16 plus.
Oh, no, wait. Sorry, that was his
Playoff game?
jersey number, 20. I was like, what? That doesn't make
Oh,
sense.
okay. I was gonna say.
He
It's
played
like,
in
wait.
he played in 13 games, started 13 games, and there's also a stat since I think 2013. He's played in like 99% of defensive snaps. He like never leaves the field. At age 32, he had 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown. He had 12 pass breakups. He had 55 total tackles. 44 were solo, and he had 2 tackles for loss. And he had
Looking for like an interception number.
it was 3 interceptions, but I don't know. I just think like for age 32, that's an insane amount of stats. Like 12 pass breakups, which was the 3rd highest of his career, I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm a big Jenkins fan. I watched him a lot on the Saints last year. I was like, dang, he's actually good for his age.
Yeah, no, he was a great piece, and the Saints definitely miss him, mostly because the Saints don't have a lot of dudes on that team left anymore. But yeah, I think that the Titans rebounded kind of nicely there. Reynolds is, I guess, supposed to replace Corey Davis. Like him and Adam Humphries are supposed to replace 1,000 yards of Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith.
Is Humphries
So-
even with the Titans right now?
I think he's still there. I think he was just out all of last season because of injury, but I think he's still there.
No. He got signed by Washington.
Oh, Adam Humphries is on Washington?
Yep. Yeah, I didn't think he was still with the Titans. Yeah, he's with he started with the Bucks in 2015. Then he was with the Titans for like 2 or 3 years and just didn't do anything there. Now
He got
he's
a big contract too. I remember that. He got
Yeah.
a big contract from the Titans.
Let's see. He got a big contract with Washington too. Let me look at his history here.
He's got to have someone at wide receiver, right? Can't just. Oh, well, obviously Julio Jones now. Forgot that they have Julio Jones. Whoops.
Yeah.
Whoops. Forgot they have Julio Jones. Whoops.
They signed him to a 1-year contract on March 26th. The Titans actually released Humphries.
Oh, okay. So he was
Yeah.
still a Titan for a while.
Yeah, he was a Titan for
Up until March 26th.
from October of 2020 to March 2021. Is that it? Was he only there 1 year?
Couldn't have been, right? That had to have been 2 years ago that he left the Buccaneers. He was going through injuries last year. 2
Yeah, I
years
don't
ago.
see stats here for 2019. I just see 2018. The Bucks re-signed Humphries to a 1-year contract.
I knew he missed the whole season one of those years. I just thought it was last year instead of this year.
I guess it was 2019.
Wow, so he didn't do anything with the Titans.
I don't see anything in 2019. Yeah, on the Titans, it just says they place him on IR COVID list, activated from IR COVID list, place on IR COVID list, cut wide receiver Adam Humphries. So I don't think he did anything for the.
Not much. Doesn't look like it's a nice loss of $18 million for the Titans right
Oh
there.
my God.
That's 18 mil guaranteed. That's not going well for them.
No, they're like, let's get rid of this guy. Let's get him out of
No,
here.
It didn't exactly work out.
Man. Oh, I have a troller. I have a troller who comes in here every YouTube live stream.
Oh, I see.
He just L, and I can just do.
Bye.
Pew.
Yeah.
Now I can hide all of his messages. He comes in here every stream, but whatever. Free clout.
Yeah. 3+ or thumbs down. Maybe it's the thumbs down.
Did he dislike the video?
Wah, wah, wah.
What a shame. All right. I'll let you go, man. Kyle, I really appreciate it. I love having you on. I love talking to you. You're knowledgeable about the game, and it's a lot of fun. You can always keep a conversation going, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. You can start off talking about podcasts and start off talking about technology and then end up talking about Janoris Jenkins.
Dude,
It's a long route to get there, but we got there.
that's the way I love it, honestly. Like, I'm not the kind of guy just like stick to one subject. I love to just talk anything NFL. I could bounce all around for days.
Yeah, it makes it more fun also when you're coming off of like an NFL week 6 or something, and it's like, oh yes, let's just talk about random things that we saw during the NFL Sunday.
True
Yeah,
that.
I
Yeah, especially when you like
miss
I
those.
haven't talked to you for a while, so it's like it's just catching up, giving your thoughts on everything, and it's a
Yeah,
lot of
for
fun.
sure. I enjoyed it. Thank you again. This is a fantastic medium to work with. The YouTube lives and Discord and all that stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of the Discord calls. And YouTube, it looks like we have 3 people watching right now, 9 likes on the video. It says the average watch time is almost 5 minutes, so people are sticking
Pretty
around
good.
for a few minutes. Um,
Yeah.
guys,
Whoever the person was who thumbs down, they unthumbs down and then thumbs up and then switched back. I saw it real quick there. They it went to 11 and then they went back down to 10 and 1. It went 11-0 for a half second. Let's see if they do it again.
the trollers, I was trolling my chat. Get out of here. It's probably the hi bye person.
Yep, see, there you go. He changed it again.
What? Oh well. Guys, go ahead and check out the Take It Easy podcast. Kyle, thank you so much. Go give us Instagram a follow. Is it comical? And
Comical underscore sports underscore memes, but if you type it in, you'll find it anyways.
Okay, comical
yes.
sports memes, guys. You will find his Instagram page. And what you post daily, don't you?
Semi-daily. It's been less recently, but NBA Finals is tonight, so I assume something will go out.
True that.
Yeah, so we try to do it daily, but sometimes it's just an oversaturation of content. And I get it. People like start unfollowing because they're like, yeah, this is too much content right now. I'm like, that's understandable. So during football season, it'll 100% be daily. During football season, you will get content every day on Take It Easy.
Okay, sounds good. Well, once again, man, thank you so much. I'd love to have you on anytime. So if you're ever interested or you want me on your show, hit me up. I'm always down for it.
Sure,
it means a lot to me.
We're getting closer. We've got Hard Knocks dates, so we're getting closer now.
We
can see the light at the end of the tunnel when they're announcing dates for Hard Knocks. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Dude, Hard Knocks, we could talk about that. That could be a whole nother podcast too. So that's always more content. I'm excited to talk about that. I think that could.
Yeah. Hard Knocks is always fun for 2 episodes, and then it kind of dies out. Except for the one Browns season. The one Browns season was excellent.
It was.
That is by far the best Hard Knocks.
Wasn't that the first one?
It was the first one of the new Hard Knocks. So they did it for a while, and then they did like Tampa Bay and the Jets with Rex Ryan and they did something like that. But I think the Browns one was like the one where Hard Knocks kind of became like mainstream. Like they'd been doing it for years, but it was kind of like, okay, they do this, and some people care, some people don't. Now every year it's like, oh my gosh, who's going to be on Hard Knocks? Who's going to be on Hard Knocks? Like the Browns one was like the first cool one.
Yes, because that's when they kind of became like America's team. You know, they kind of took that title away from. They drafted Baker, and they had drafted a couple good players before Baker. Like okay, they're getting some real talent there. They just haven't put it together yet.
Yeah, and you got to meet some camp guys like damn, I forgot his name, the tight end who like to use rocks and meditation. And
is it Njoku or is it a different guy?
It's Njoku because he got cut from the team. But it's like you always get drawn into these people who are like, oh, are they going to make the team? Are they not going to make the team?
And they get called
like
in.
storylines.
Hey man,
Yeah, that was another fun thing about Hard Knocks that year was that they got on camera Corey Coleman cursing out Hugh Jackson when something happened, and then they ended up like cutting him the next day. It was like, no, they caught that on camera and they actually got to use it where he's like, if you're not going to play me, then why don't you just bleep and trade me? And then it was like, oh, okay.
Fine, we'll just actually release you.
Hard Knocks actually like they went there. So yeah, that was a cool season. The Raiders one was good because that one pissed me off though, because Hard Knocks had all the Antonio Brown stuff. It was during the Antonio Brown magical month. And Hard Knocks just didn't use any of the good footage on Antonio Brown. Like they had the storyline of the NFL. They were following the Raiders and they didn't get any of the Antonio Brown stuff because the team and the NFL have to watch the show before it gets released. So they couldn't get any of the good Antonio Brown stuff passed. They could only get some of the interesting stuff passed. Like they talked about the feet, and they got Antonio Brown playing with his kids with his fake helmet. And yeah.
There's Skidley Bop in the YouTube chat says, I wish Hard Knocks would do a follow-up episode after the season. That would be pretty cool. That's a good idea.
I like that idea.
That would have been cool after the Brown seasons for sure.
That would have been funny because, like, what was it, 6 weeks after Hard Knocks, there was a power struggle in the organization where Todd Haley beat out Hugh Jackson in a power struggle because he was very clearly trying to take his job on all of Hard Knocks. Like, it was so obvious to see that he was taking his job. And then Greg Williams won a power struggle with Todd Haley, and then Todd Haley got fired. So, yeah, everyone was like Game of Thronesing each other at the end there.
The Browns, that was a couple of years there where just like everything was a mess. Even though they were doing really great in the draft, it was just a mess though.
They lost. They won. They were a 45-yard field goal into the December Cleveland win away from winning no games in 2 years, which is unbelievable. But they were one missed Chargers field goal away from winning 0 games in 2 seasons.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
On a decently talented roster, too. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, I think one of those years Duke Johnson was the best player on the team. So I don't know how decently talented that was.
Oh, I thought they had, what's his name? Denzel Ward? I thought they drafted him in like 17 or 18.
So he was 18. He came in, he was with Baker. So him and Baker were the same class where they won like 7 games their first year. But Myles Garrett was there for the 0-16 season. He played like 6 games that year, but
I thought so.
Myles Garrett was there for the 0-16 season.
Yeah, I thought like a big name player was there for one of those seasons. I guess they drafted Baker first overall and then Ward 4th. They had a 1st and 4th overall pick.
And the second round, I think they got Chubb. Like, that was an awesome draft class. They got Baker, Denzel Ward, and Nick Chubb in the same draft.
And then they signed Kareem Hunt in the offseason.
Yep. They got the offensive tackle. It's not Wyatt Teller, right? They got him for like a 6th round pick.
Really?
They signed. Yeah, that was they swindled Wyatt Teller from someone else. I forgot who it was, but that was a terrible deal. That was another thing I was revisiting the other day. They got Jarvis Landry for like a 4th round pick.
Oh, I know. That
was terrible by Miami. I think they did end up having like a 7th round pick swap, and that pick ended up becoming Myles Gaskin. So it's at least like kind of okay for the Dolphins.
I like Gaskin.
He's solid. I'm stunned that he's still their starting running back this year, but he's solid.
Yeah, I figured they would have done something.
Yeah, all they did was like, I think, is Matt Breida still there? I think Matt Breida might be there.
Yeah, but he was injured all last year.
I think they got the guy from they got the one Brown from the Rams. I can't remember what his name is, but they got Brown from the, I think Malcolm Brown. Is that his name?
There was a Malcolm Brown on the Rams. I didn't know he was not with the Rams anymore.
I think he's a Dolphin now. So
interesting.
They're like small pieces behind Myles Gaskin.
Huh. Guess they were really shooting for Aaron Jones. And they didn't get him.
Any of the running backs. A lot of running backs re-signed, actually. Like, I thought Marlon Mack would go somewhere else. I thought...
yeah.
Well, they were in on James Conner, but then he signed with the Cardinals. So...
I think that was good by the Cardinals, though. I like Conner going there.
Yeah, it's a nice little 1-year deal. They didn't draft a running back this year, so...
I think they were trying to get the role of Kenyon Drake, but never got from Kenyon Drake, you know what I mean? Like Kenyon Drake was okay, but like he only had like real good, like 1 or 2 really good games.
Oh yeah, I laughed at that because I was like, wait, what'd you expect from Kenyon Drake? Like I still attest he got $10 million from the Cardinals just because he had 4 touchdowns against the Browns. Like that's the only reason he got $10 million was because he scored 4 touchdowns against the Browns.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I love Drake.
It was strange. But like it's Kenyon Drake, we kind of know what he is.
Yeah, I love Drake, and I thought he was amazing in Alabama, and I liked him in Miami. He just like didn't really get the starting opportunity.
Yeah,
or he may have, but like
Mentioned we could do a podcast on Hard Knocks. We could do a whole podcast on just that Alabama running back room that had
Dude.
that year they had
Jacobs?
They had what?
Did they have Jacobs, Drake, and Harris?
So they had Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, Bo Scarborough, and Alvin Kamara at one point, all in the same running back room. And then Alvin Kamara transferred to Tennessee, but it was stupid good. Yeah.
And they're all like starters in the NFL right now.
To be fair, I think Josh Jacobs might have come in a year after Derrick Henry left, but Josh Jacobs was there with Scarborough, Kenyon Drake, and I forgot who else we were talking about in there.
Kamara.
Kamara transferred to Tennessee somewhere in there, but yeah, they had Kamara was the fourth running back on the champion Alabama team in 2015 or 2014, whatever year they made the Final Four. But yeah, Kamara was the fourth running back on that team. They had 5 running backs that got drafted in the first 3 rounds.
Dude, that is freaking nuts.
Yeah, it's
what happened to Bo Scarborough? I know he was like with the Lions for a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on the Cowboys too for a minute or so, but
I think he's like a free agent.
Yeah, not much. I'm guessing he'll end up in the XFL at some point. But
I thought he was good, and I thought he was a stud.
Yeah, I don't think he was drafted super highly. I think he was a 3rd or 4th round pick, but he was all right.
Guess he has no Damian Harris.
He was awesome. Yeah, that was another thing. They had Damian Harris after that.
Yeah, then they had Najee Harris.
Yeah, they had Najee Harris, Damian Harris together.
Goodness gracious!
What else did they have? They had someone else good there. They had another good running back.
I thought it was maybe Jacobs at the time.
Maybe it was Jacobs. Jacobs was 2018 draft, I think.
Yeah.
So those timelines kind of match up. Or was he 2019? Jacobs was 2018 or 2019. I don't remember. But
19.
I think he played 2018 season at Bama with Najee Harris because Najee Harris didn't get to see the field. I was like, wasn't he the top recruit in high school? And then 2 years later, he was rushing for 26 touchdowns or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, that's why he's so good. It just took him a while.
Yeah. The Alabama has always had stud running backs. I love to watch them all play.
Stud running backs and stud receivers and just every great defensive lineman. Well, not quite edge rushers, interior defensive tackles. They got a lot of those ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Alabama's just always good, dude. That's just the way they are.
Yeah. I love the rule, though, about being a star edge rusher in the NFL. The rule is basically go to Texas A&M, be a Watt brother, or be a Bosa brother. That's pretty much how you become a star edge rusher in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. The Bosas and the Watts. And a lot of people forget about Derek Watt. I think he's a fullback or something.
I think he played for the Chargers before. Now I think he's on Pittsburgh. I think he's with
TJ. So how many Watts? There's TJ.
There's JJ, TJ, and Derek.
JJ, and Derek. That's why a lot of people wanted JJ to sign with Steelers, was because I think both the brothers were there. So
all 3 of them would have played together. And then I think the Steelers have either one of the 2 Edmonds brothers too. I think they're all on Pittsburgh and Buffalo. There's 3 of them, but
really, Tremaine,
Terrell, and then there's one more. I forgot who the 3rd one is now, but he's on either Pittsburgh or Buffalo.
Interesting. Tremaine's good, though. I know that. He's the star of them, isn't he?
Yeah, Tremaine Edwards is awesome. Terrell is he's on Pittsburgh, but I think he's a free agent at the end of the season, so he might leave Pittsburgh because he's one of those weird mid-level guys where he'll get a 3-year contract from someone, but like Shaquem Griffin, he'll get a 3-year contract from someone who just wants to have a safety. An Edmonds brother somewhere in there.
Let me see. Edmonds, is it with a U or an A? Edmonds
I think it's Edmonds with a U.
There's Trey, Terrell, and Tremaine.
Trey is the 3rd one.
Oh.
He's a running back he's one of the 8 running backs on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Terrell's real name is Fidarius Terrell Edmonds. He's with the Steelers. He's 24. That's young.
Well, I think he's going into his 4th year. He's a strong safety, I think.
Goodness. Trey Edmonds is a running back.
Yeah, so he's one of the 8 running backs on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have so many damn running backs.
Tremaine is only 23. Oh my God, dude. I feel like Tremaine has been in the league for a while.
Yeah,
Dang.
I mean, Buffalo got the best of them for sure.
Yeah, the oldest is the running back Tremaine or Terrell.
2 of them were first-round picks. I think Terrell and Tremaine were first-round picks. I think.
Wow.
No, Tremaine was.
I'm learning a lot.
Definitely was a first-round pick.
I didn't know they were brothers. I thought it was just
Oh yeah, there's 3 brothers.
coincidence.
I only knew it because I saw them all together take photo after the game. It was like the first time all 3 brothers had played a game together.
Oh. Okay, well, which ones were... Okay, there's Terrell and...
Terrell's the safety for the Steelers. Tremaine is the linebacker for the Bills. And then Trey is one of the 8 running backs for the Steelers.
Okay, yeah. Terrell and Trey are on the Steelers.
Yeah.
Cool.
The Steelers got 2 Watt brothers and 2 Edmonds brothers.
Devin Bush is trending again. Oh, no.
Okay, wonderful. What a great morning this is, where we're just talking about the Edmonds brothers and following Devin Bush's Twitter. What a great time of the year, isn't it? This is a great time in the NFL.
Devin Bush. Let's go to either top or latest. Let's go to latest. Twitter has negative reactions to Steelers Devin Bush tweeting and joking about a cat falling and getting paralyzed. Oh, my God. That was 4 minutes ago.
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, no.
Everyone's like, what the F is wrong with you? And they're saying, this guy tweets at Steelers, your boy Devin Bush definitely has CTE. Oh, my God.
Aww.
People are hating on Bush right now. Steelers linebacker Devin Bush shares disturbing video on Twitter. Yahoo Sports tweeted. Oh my God.
That's a bit much. Aw.
He's getting smacked.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Devin Bush. I'm gonna make sure to put Devin Bush in the description, or the title.
Write down Devin Bush somewhere. Yes, Devin Bush, stalking Devin Bush's Twitter account.
Oh my
That's what we're doing here.
That'll get you some views.
Yes.
Oh. All right, my man.
That was fun. That was a fun addition to the end as we were doing our sign off. That was a fun little addition to what we were doing.
It kind of rounds it back out to what we said at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
Go watch that video when we get off stream, and you're gonna be like,
or don't. Or maybe don't. Maybe you don't have to watch a cat get paralyzed. Maybe don't watch it.
No, I'm just telling you, watch it, not the stream.
not the
yeah, viewers don't watch it. That's a disturbing video. But
okay. I will watch it then. Just before crawling back into bed, I will watch it.
Yeah, I got you up early, man.
To be fair, I'd normally be up at this point anyways. I just don't have anything else to do this morning.
Lucky. I gotta get ready for work.
Yeah.
Good old work.
So, still only 8 o'clock here, so I got some time.
Dang, bro, you were freaking up at 6 for this?
I mean, that's when I'm normally up. I normally do the podcast, but we had an interview yesterday. By the way, check that out as well. I'm good at seamlessly plugging now. After 800 episodes, I'm good at plugging stuff. So check that out. Check it out, today's episode, where we talk about the NBA final and play a fun baseball trivia game. So if you want to play that, you can play it with us.
Okay. And I'll give it a listen too.
I think you'll get most of them because you know baseball. It's more funny if you don't know baseball and you try guessing it, because it's based on the All-Star roster.
You just guess Mike Trout for everything, or Mike Trout.
Simple questions. It's semi-simple questions. There's some of them I tried to tease a little bit, but if you get to the end, the bonus question is name one Colorado Rocky. Can you name a single Colorado Rocky? Is the bonus question.
Nolan Arenado's not there anymore.
He's
what do I
not,
do?
no. Don't say Trevor Story. That's cheating because he's technically there, but he won't be there within the month.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation and rumors around Trevor Story right now, man.
Yeah, so
He's pretty good.
yeah, check that out, people. All you party people can check that out.
Sounds good. Guys, YouTube, thank you so much for all of you who did stick around. Those who are just now popping in, make sure you're liking and subscribing. Check out the Take It Easy podcast. We are joined today by the owner of Take It Easy podcast, Kyle. He also owns the Comical Sports Memes on Instagram. Go give him a follow. He's almost at 50,000, so you won't regret it. Guys, thank you for watching.